So the last posture of the gateway posture is like these three like more difficult postures in the middle of primary series. The last one of those is Garbha Pindasana. And it has a few different parts to it. There's the first part where we thread our arms through and bring the hands towards our face. We hold for 5 breaths. And there's a second part where we're rolling back and up and around in a circle. And then there's the third part, Kukutasana, where we lift up. I'm going to do Kukutasana in a separate video. So I'm just going to focus on those first 2 parts for this video. So first we start in full lotus. And, full lotus is just a combination of what I broke down for getting into half lotus in an earlier video, but you just do that for both sides. And I'll break down full lotus in a separate video. But basically we get into a full lotus, and if full lotus isn't accessible to you, I will show you different variations after this. And now you need to thread your arms through this space between the calf and the thigh and the ankle. So, this has always been super hard for me because I have big calves and my arms aren't, I have a lot of muscle in my arms. So it's hard to get my arms through. And also my lotus has never been something that's super comfortable. It's feels pretty tight for me. I mean, it feels comfortable in the hips, but around the ankles, I've had a lot of ankle problems, and around it just all feels really tight. So this has always been really hard for me. And something that I really rely on is having water or sweat, because then that helps us to slide through. But before I do that, something that really helps me is to just open up the hole as much as I can. So when I do the first side, if I kind of lift this left thigh, I can open up the space a little bit. And then when I come through this side, if I lift this a little bit, that opens it up a little bit too. But here's kind of where I get stuck. I mean, I could probably wiggle through and be really uncomfortable, but I'm gonna add some water so it's a little bit easier to get my arm all the way through. So we're trying to get our arms through that hole. Another thing that helps is to spiral the hand as you go through. So kind of do this motion. Yeah, so you start with the palm down and then you spiral it up. Something about that action helps to kind of glide the arm through the hole. So the other thing about the water though is that you need to pull up your leggings, and you had to pull them up above your knee. So if I'm gonna do a guided full primary, where I know that it's gonna be a teacher that's gonna be on the count and moving quickly without giving us moments to figure things out, I'll know to wear leggings that I can do this with, because some of my leggings won't do this. To go all the way, even these are kind of a little bit tight to bring all the way up. But so you can bring and just kind of give yourself some lubrication around the elbows, for me around the elbows and behind the knees and the calves. Just spread that in. It's also nice to cool off at this point in guided primary. Maybe even in front of the ankles here. Okay. All right. So you see, so much easier. And sometimes I even like to for this first one, really bring it through, because you want to get the elbow to pass. Yeah, for this next part. And then elbow all the way through. So I need to wiggle it a couple times. Okay, we made it this far. I didn't know if that was going to happen. So from here, you bring your hands towards your face. And again, this is also really hard for me. Kind of like to use the other hand. And you breathe here 5 times. So you can have the hands all the way on the cheeks. That's a little bit hard for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then you tuck the chin. So the first is with the chin up. And then you tuck the chin and bring the hands to the forehead. And now I regret setting up so close to the blocks. So I'm going to try to move so the blocks don't get in my way. All right. Okay. So you're here, the chin tucked, and you have the fingertips coming towards the top of the head. And we're going to exhale Inhale, come up. And the trick here is to use the front of the body strength to get you down and up. So you're not doing this, going back and like letting the head come up, like letting the head come away from the hands, because then you don't have to use your core strength as much to keep the action of rolling. So if you keep the hands here, then you have to use the core strength a little bit more, which is one of the things that this posture is getting at. And also this posture is meant to be this like supinate form. It's like you're in the womb. This posture is kind of alluding to being in the womb, the embryo pose. So you want to stay like really rounded the whole time. And you could also incorporate, you're rolling back and up, but you're also rolling around in a circle. All the way around. So you get to the front. And then you go, and ideally you stay on the mat. For some reason I fell off the mat. And then from here you go into Kukutasana, which I will break down in the next posture. So we're in this like super rounded form, tucking the chin, and we're staying here the whole time in the rolling back and up. So that might be difficult for you. So you just have to kind of like sort that out and figure out like what actions you need to do in the core to keep the hands here as you roll back and up. A lot of times people kind of like, they're here and they're here and they kind of like fall over to the side and they get stuck because their arms are like stuck in there and they don't know what to do. So if a teacher comes back up and puts you back in the center, then that can be helpful. I just also think it's kind of like a nice opportunity for humor in the practice. People are like, help, and they're like helpless, they can't do anything. I mean, if you don't have a teacher on, you could also just like undo your legs and get your arms out, it's fine. And the other thing to think about, since we're rolling back and up, but we're also rolling around in a circle, is you kind of like roll on one side of the spine, and then to go down, and then roll up on the other side of the spine to come up. So you're kind of, instead of rolling like straight up and down along the center of the spine, roll down on one side, and roll back up on the other side. And it's nice because it becomes like a massage for those muscles along the spine, especially if you have a really bony spine that like sticks out. That'll be really good for you to just kind of like roll on one side and then roll on the other side. Yeah, so that you don't roll like directly on the spine. And then that action also of rolling on one side and coming up, that action is what's gonna help you to turn around as you roll back and up. Yeah, because you kind of have to sort that out too, like how do I get it so that I'm rolling around in a circle? So it's that rolling down on one side, rolling up on another side. So variations are basically just like what to do if you cannot come into lotus, or if you're just, having a really hard time getting the arms through. You can just cross the shins, hold on to the ankles, and still come into this. So first you kind of lift the chin for the first 5 breaths, and then you round the spine and drop the chin, and you roll back and up here. You can do full lotus, and instead of bringing the arms through, bring the legs in and just hug the thighs. You can either interlace the fingers or just hold on to the thighs here. Same thing. 5 breaths, rolling back and up. Yeah. All right. And then, I think that's all I have to say about this posture. It's not my favorite, but it's still, I feel like it's situated in a nice place in the primary series. You're in this space where you just get super aponic, and then after this, we're going to start to open up out to the sides a little bit from the center. All right.